Okay. Alright. Hi, everybody. That's Jake.
Still.
Okay. You're supposed to introduce me, so should we start
yes.
again?
That is Cassandra.
That is not my name. My name is Cassie.
Okay, goodbye.
Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody who's been watching our videos and commenting and, just telling us how we've motivated them and how our videos have helped them. It means a lot to us.
And sharing your stories.
Yeah.
Because I gotta say, some of you guys have some interesting things to say.
Yeah, so keep doing that. Share us with your friends. Subscribe to our channel for now until we can, get more videos out there, get more people watching. And just keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate it. So I guess today what we're going to talk about, he already put a video out about how he became addicted to drugs. And sorry.
As promised, this is her story.
Yeah, so it probably won't be my whole story, but it'll be the beginning of it at least. I also have a bit of a cold and some allergy stuff going on right now, so I apologize for how I sound.
Fuck cigarettes.
So, I guess I'll just jump right into it. Basically, how I started using, it wasn't, a lot of people, their issues start from doctors and being prescribed prescriptions, and that was never my issue. I basically just started recreationally. I was working in a restaurant when I was, I didn't even start using until I was 18 years old, 19 years old, and I was working at a restaurant, and we all know how restaurant work is, and the people that we come in contact with when we work in places like that, and so I was working with somebody who was using pills, Roxy, stuff like that, and I don't even really exactly remember what happened other than one day I had taken opiates prior to that, 4 surgeries and having my wisdom teeth taken out, and I remember the feeling, but that wasn't what hooked me. It was working at this place and being around this specific person, and I asked her for one of her pills one day that she had, and that was basically it. I was off to the races at that point. I was doing it every day. I wasn't even hiding it. The best part of this story, y'all will like this, in the midst of me working at this place and starting my drug addiction, I was dating a police officer.
Oh,
so,
yeah, that guy.
That ended very badly. Never got in trouble, but he definitely left me. Yeah, that was fun.
Well, working in a restaurant is stressful, and the problem with drugs is that when you first start taking them, it makes it so everything's tolerable.
Yeah.
That's a very dangerous combination.
Yeah, and it honestly, in a weird way, it gave me energy to get through the day. So
Hold on 1 second, we're gonna restart the video. Okay, we're back.
Sorry. My daughter called me. So yeah, basically what I was talking about was how it gave me energy, right? So it gave me that energy to, start my day, which we all know how restaurants work if you've worked in one before, or any kind of customer service at all. You start your day at the middle of the day sometimes, and you don't get off until very late at night. So
and then you have to clean all of the dishes too, so.
Yeah, and I definitely had to do that, because I worked in such a small, so the restaurant I worked at was such a small place. It was a train car. Okay, so it was a converted train car, and they converted into this restaurant. And so it was only a couple of us that waited tables there. So it was super easy to get involved in the things that everybody else was doing. It was not hard. It wasn't like it was an Applebee's or, a big place. It was small, and we were like a family, I guess. So it was very easy to
get. Of addicts.
Yeah, it was very easy to get, stuck in this. And so, I had a bunch of periods of, short clean time before I realized what addiction was. Because at that point, I didn't even really know about addiction. I was never really taught about it much. And so we moved to Myrtle Beach. I had my daughter, my oldest daughter, and after I had her, I feel like I shouldn't be saying some of these things on camera.
Well, I mean, there's some semblance of privacy.
You know, anyway, so after I had her, it escalated.
Yeah.
And it escalated from using pills to one day I could not get the pills I wanted, and I moved straight onto heroin. And then my life went downhill pretty quickly.
That's actually how I started too. Was couldn't find either pills or powdered heroin. And, well, I'll let you describe it, but yeah, sorry.
Oh, you're fine. You can talk. But sorry. So that's pretty much how my addiction started. I don't know how far you want me to go into it.
Well, we're at let's focus on some of the nuances, like having a child is completely different from my experience.
Yeah.
You can kind of go into like what.
Okay. Well,
like the stresses of both having an addiction and a child.
What I was gonna say is like, you know, after. So when I was pregnant with my daughter, I quit doing all the pills I was doing. I quit drinking. I quit smoking weed. I quit doing everything. Everything. For 9 months. The whole time I was pregnant with her, I didn't do anything. And it was like, as soon as I had her, the depression, it kicked in so hard. You know, postpartum depression and stuff like that, especially in females, it's a real thing. If you're going through that, get help. Because I didn't, and especially for an addict, it will lead you right back into drugs, drinking, whatever it is. And it did me, and hence why I escalated so quickly after I had her to heroin. And it was really hard to be a parent and a heroin addict because I felt constant guilt even more than I did at any other time in my life because I couldn't stop this horrible thing I was doing, but I wanted to so bad, but I couldn't. I just couldn't. And I finally got clean for a while. And this next part that I'm about to talk about, we'll go more into detail with in another video.
Yeah, before we get into part 2 though, I mean, when you were in active addiction, did it affect your choice in relationships at all?
Oh, I didn't really want to date
Yeah,
for a while.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so in the first part of my addiction, the first half of my addiction, I wouldn't really date anybody. If I did talk to anybody, they were doing the same shit I was. It was all about using people. It was never about romantic relationships. It was nothing like that. It was all about, oh, my partner left. It was all about using people to get what I wanted. It was never anything about actually liking the person.
Right.
And then when I went into, so I got clean, I moved into a halfway house. There were treatment centers, detoxes, all kinds of stuff in between there. This is just like an overview of what happened to me.
Broad spectrum. Yeah, same with my story.
So, then I met my second daughter's father, in NA, and we got pregnant a couple months into knowing each other. Stayed clean throughout that, and we moved a couple times, whatever. Near the end of my pregnancy, I ended up moving home to Myrtle Beach to be with my family. Him and I we were still together, but we weren't doing so great. And 5 weeks after I had her, it was 3 days after Christmas, he passed away. And our daughter was 5 weeks old. So, automatically, I was left to be a single mother of a 4-year-old and a newborn again. And it wasn't what I expected to do. Like, these curveballs when you're in addiction just get fucking wailed at you.
There are many, and they get more intense as your addiction progresses. And
it's shit that you wouldn't even expect. Like, this, I didn't even know that he had relapsed. I knew nothing. It was 11 o'clock at night, 3 days after Christmas, and I got the call from his stepdad. And nobody knew anything. He was here for Christmas in my house with our kids. And then 3 days later, he wasn't here anymore. And it was just, like, it changed everything. Because I was doing so good, and it changed everything for me. So, went back immediately using heroin. I ran away from home. I left my kids with my parents, and just dipped the fuck out. Because I just couldn't, I didn't get help. I didn't get the help that I knew I needed. I just didn't want to feel it. I didn't want to feel anything. So, I left and started using. I ended up staying in some bed-bug infested apartment with these 2 girls, doing horrible things for money so I could get drugs. And eventually I got out of there, went back to a different halfway house, used again, relapsed again. Ended up with another guy who didn't have a kid this time, but ended up with another guy who was a piece of shit who took me back out because I thought I could get him clean, and instead of getting him clean, he got me high. Because somebody will always get them high. Somebody will always get you high before you can get them clean.
And it will always be that way.
Every time. It's never going to change. It will always be like that.
You cannot rescue people.
You can't. And I tried with this guy. And then... Look, can I tell you the stories real quick about this guy without naming any names?
Was he the crack monster?
The meth head.
Well,
should we say that for another day because it's a long story, but it's so funny.
Story time.
He was a terrible person to me, but the stories I got out of that now I can look back and fucking laugh about because of how ridiculous this person was in my life.
Yeah, he was a crazy person for real.
Gosh, my story is kind of long. It's really crazy.
Yeah,
so,
I had to break it up into 3 parts for mine.
Yeah.
That wasn't even detailed.
Yeah, well, this isn't either. But, so after that, I was living in my car for a little bit. He got arrested, so I was stuck by myself out on the streets. So my parents came and rescued me, sent me off to my grandma's, and I ran away from there because I was so sick in the head at that point. And got into a horrible situation doing that. Consequences of my actions. Still sucked, but it was my fault. Which I will talk about again in another video because that one's really intense.
That's a dark video for sure.
Yeah, that's a very bad video. It's going to be really hard for everybody to hear probably, but it's especially females. It's going to be really hard, but it is what happened and it is a real thing. So I'll go into that at another point. I won't do that right now. And then, so I finally came back from that whole thing. I had a couple bouts of relapse in between there, and then finally I just got my shit together. It took so long, but I finally, there was a relationship after that, but honestly that's not even important. It's really not, compared to everything else that has happened to me, that one relationship is not even going to be mentioned because it had it has no place here. It's not like this other stuff. But, I ended up back home. I'm staying with my parents right now, but I've been with my kids for almost a year. What, 2 years? Mm-hmm. How long has it been?
2 years.
2 years now? So, wow, that's
for
crazy.
You. Yeah, for you. 2 years.
So I've been back with them for a while. I'm doing much better. I go to therapy once every 2 weeks. I got outside help. I'm on outside medications to deal with I'm bipolar. I have PTSD from certain things that happened. What else? Oh, I have borderline personality disorder. I'm a fucking hot mess. This is really what it comes down to. But I am managing all of that.
With help, yeah.
I contracted Hep C. It happened. Don't share needles with people and don't use old needles over and over because you can give it to yourself.
You can't do that actually.
Really?
Yeah, the doctor in the Charleston Center that we went to told me that's a myth.
Really?
Yeah, that's not true.
Oh. Well, just fun fact for you all though. Don't even share spoons with people or cottons because how much it's literally the smallest dot of blood left over in a spoon or a cotton can make you to contract Hep C. It can stay in dried blood for
6
week. No, I think it's 6 days.
Okay, yeah, that sounds
it can
right.
stay
that sounds right.
active in dried blood for up to 6 days. So if you use a spoon that somebody else had used, to rinse out their needle or whatever 6 days prior, and you use that same spoon, you can get Hep C. It's that bad.
Also, it can take up to like 6 months for Hep C to show up on a test, so get tested regularly.
Yeah, and, you know, it's one of those things where considering all the situations I had been in, it wasn't like I was sharing needles with people all the time, but the situations that I had been in, by the time I actually got tested, I kind of expected it, but it still sucked. Like, I cried because I was clean at that point, and it sucked because it's like, now I gotta go through this whole thing, but, like, and by the end of it, because I had had it for so long and didn't know, I was actually getting really sick from it. So I finally am on medication for that. It's almost gone. I'm almost done. But I was definitely going to say something, and it is gone.
Well, we're coming up on 15 minutes, so okay. You want to make a part 2 tomorrow?
Okay, yeah. Well, so that was it. For now, basically, you know, all that happened, but I've been back here for a long time. I'm with my kids. Everything is better in my life. Oh, what I was going to say is getting Hep C, honestly, was actually almost like a blessing in disguise for me, because it forced me to do all these things that I really wasn't motivated to do. It forced me to go to a doctor. It forced me to see a therapist. It forced me to stay clean. It literally... because the way that they treat you is different than just any normal medication. So it forces you to do a lot of things. Not that you want to have that, but, you know, for me, it was what kind of, like, shocked me out of this fucking fog I was in of, like, oh, everything's going to be fine if I just stay doing the same shit that I'm doing. And, like, no. I had to change a lot about my life.
I got something in my eye.
And, you know, I so far, I mean, you know, anything can happen, but so far, the change that I have made has been such a blessing for me and for my kids, because my kids get to see me today and like, be proud of the person I am. And that, to me, is amazing, because I never thought I was going to get there. Like, I remember I would just be laying in bed away from my kids at night, just wanting to die. Because I never thought that I would be able to, like, have them look at me the way they look at me now. So, it's amazing what can happen when you actually, you know, decide that you're ready to do the damn thing. So, you know, y'all just keep doing what you're doing and you'll make it. And everything will be okay.
Alright. Part 2 hopefully coming tomorrow. It was a good one.
Yep.
See you guys.
Bye.
Stay sober.